Welcome to Robotics and Automation News webinars, where you can be part of a global event without leaving your home or office. Attend our live webinars and communicate directly with influential professionals in your industry.
Hello, my name is Abdul Montakim. I'm editor of Robotics and Automation News.com. In this interview, I speak to David Clear, Chief Revenue Officer at Vecna Robotics, a manufacturer of autonomous mobile robots, or warehouse robots as they are sometimes called. Vecna Robotics has raised more than $63 million in funding as it's a startup. David talks about some of the key technologies the company offers, as well as provide insights into its future plans.
My name is David Clear. I'm Chief Revenue Officer here at Vecna Robotics. I have been with Vecna for just over 5 years now, and I joined just as we were beginning to commercialize our autonomous technology and launch it to the market. So I've been with us through the window of kind of initial customer acquisition, and then a spin out of Vecna Robotics from Vecna Technologies. And then which has allowed us to take external investment and begin this most recent phase of growth.
Okay, so I'm at the Vecna Robotics website. Robotics and Automation News has often published stories about Vecna. We've had interviews with one or two people there as well, provided by a freelance journalist, and the company itself is very interesting. I know a little bit about it, but I was hoping you could give us an overview, a high-level overview of the kind of technologies you have. As far as I know, you have AGVs as well as AMRs. Now, just to explain to readers who might be new, AGVs are automated guided vehicles, which usually need some sort of magnetic rails to be on the, or strips to be on the floor so they can find their way around. Whereas autonomous mobile robots, they tend to be able to navigate their own way around without any guidance. They have internal mapping systems and so on. So those are the two technologies I know about in terms of mobile robots in warehouses. I'm not sure if you do AGVs or, give us an overview of the company and the technologies that it offers.
Yeah, so actually all of our technology would be in your definition of the AMRs, the autonomous mobile robots. And we focus on distribution, warehousing, and manufacturing. And the core underlying navigation technology is what we refer to as platform agnostic. So we were able to convert any base platform into a fully autonomous platform that operates on that same common system. So we have a mix of different units. We have tuggers or tow tractors, pallet jacks, and then some smaller units as well, all of which operate on that same system. So when we deploy in our customer sites, it's a single deployment that would cover multiple different form factors and multiple different applications. And the same for our support and monitoring, and for our task allocation. So we also have a tool called Pivotal, which is our orchestration software, which would sit in between the agents on the ground and the warehouse management system or the manufacturing execution system. And Pivotal will take all of the tasks that need to be completed in a defined window, an hour, a shift a day, etc., and then allocates them dynamically across all available agents, and will allocate the tasks to the most suitable agent. So it may be a tugger for a certain job, it may be a pallet jack for another job. Equally, it could be a manually operated unit that we can allocate those tasks to. And then we will change and adjust based on what's happening in real time in the operation. If a unit gets delayed finishing its first job, the system will then reallocate the tasks across the remaining agents to make sure that everything can still be completed in time. If there's an emergency order that can get pushed to the top of the queue, again, we can dynamically adjust what tasks are being allocated.
Yeah, so this is software. This Pivotal is software to manage robots and the tasks that the robot does, and the humans that do the tasks as well alongside it. Have I got that right?
Correct. Yes. So we have, overall, it's a solution rather than a single piece of hardware. So the units themselves have the most robust navigation technology uh, currently available. We can operate seamlessly alongside manual operators, other pieces of technology, and integrate pretty seamlessly into those workflows. So the units that you're seeing on the screen at the moment, we take OEM platforms and we put our system into them to convert them to autonomous units. Those units all actually retain manual functionality as well. Just by stepping on and off, they can go back to being manual units. So again, operating in those mixed workflows. But the additional software we have, which allows us to monitor and support the units in real time, gives us a very high uptime, over 99% uptime for our units that are deployed in the field. And then we also have that orchestration tool that I mentioned earlier, which makes sure that the units are used as efficiently as possible. So with that combination of the robots and the software, we have a very robust system that we can offer to our customers.
What was the name of the orchestration tool? I've forgotten.
Pivotal.
Oh, right. Yeah. It's the same one. I thought you meant a different one. So give us an idea of the way you've described it. It's like it needs a human. It's a human who would be monitoring everything through Pivotal, making changes or adjustments in real time. Is there an aspect of it that is of these systems, the solutions, the software plus hardware solution, whatever you're going to, obviously the machines are automated or autonomous, but is there something about the software that is autonomous as well, that is artificial intelligence in a kind of more autonomous way? Obviously there's probably loads of AI integrated into it, but is there some examples that you can give of the AI aspect of the software?
Yeah, so the system itself, obviously, the base units are fully autonomous. Our view is that there will always be exceptions. That really is where these systems can live or die in terms of offering business cases. So having efficient exception handling and flexibility to changes in our customers in our customer sites is at the core of what we do. So if the unit encounters an obstacle, it will navigate around it. If for some reason it encounters an issue that it is unable to resolve itself, the unit actually requests help via our monitoring tool. And so that allows for very quick response time. We've seen average times in the 30 to 60 second range where we can intervene, support, and keep everything moving within our customer sites. What we also then leverage out of that tool is the learning aspect that you referenced earlier. The first day that we're on site, there's decisions and assumptions made by both us and by our customers as part of what's going to be the most ideal workflow and certain routes, certain tasks, how tasks will be handled, etc. What we tend to see then in real time, once our units are actually deployed for a period of time, we see if there are improvements that can be made. So on a site-by-site level, we can pull all that data from the site and make those decisions to say, well, actually, performance can be improved by adjusting this route, or tasking something slightly differently, or handing off tasks between manual and autonomous agents. So that gives continuous improvement for many of our customers. In a site recently that we deployed in, we actually saw a 17% performance improvement over the first 3 months. Whereas in many other instances, automation deployments, their best day is on their first day. for us, our first day was always very good, but we then continue to improve afterwards. From a more macro level, we pull data back from all of our sites, and that feeds into our product development roadmap, and excuse me, our product team will take that information, identify where there are changes or improvements we can make, and those software updates then get pushed out to all of the units in the field. So every unit that we have in the field is always operating off the most up-to-date code base. And again, we just see that continuous improvement fleet-wide.
Right, so I found the page where you've got Vecna Robotics on the Vecna Robotics website. You've got the robot lineup, as it's called, the pallet jack on the left, the conveyor, and the tugger. The conveyor, that's a shelf unit on the back of an autonomous mobile robot, I take it. And interesting that I didn't know that the vehicles, as you said earlier, can be autonomous or switch back to being manual with a human driving it. Does that go for the pallet jack as well as the tugger?
It does, yes. Yeah. So they all retain full manual functionality.
Including the conveyor?
Sorry, the pallet jack and the tugger does the
okay.
The place for a person to ride. So that's but for the pallet jack and the tugger, any of those OEM platforms that we that we convert, they retain manual functionality. So for a number of our customers, they're looking to use mixed workflows. So there may be a portion of it where they're looking for a person to complete part of the task and then automate the longer haul transport. So those types of workflows our customers see dramatically increased productivity from their employees, because they're doing the more nuanced, tricky tasks that people are considerably better than robots are performing. But then we take some of those more mundane, repeatable tasks, the long haul across a building, which allows them the site to continue to direct manual labor to work on those kind of harder portions of the workflow.
Yeah, just to give the audience a sort of, I don't know if they would be able to read this, but this pallet jack, the specifications are maximum speed 2 meters per second, which is quite fast, maximum capacity 3,600 kilograms, which is a very sort of heavyweight machine. The tugger has 1.5 millimeters per second speed, and maximum capacity of 4,500 kilograms, and the conveyor there, maximum speed 2 meters per second, maximum capacity 1,500 kilograms. These are very interesting machines, and I'm sure a lot of companies are going to be increasingly interested in this. This market has been growing so fast, that we've benefited as a website. We've had a lot of readers coming to our website to read those kind of stories. What's the market been like for Vecna in terms of, I mean, you're a financial, you work in the financial department, as it were. What's business like for Vecna Robotics at the moment?
Yeah, we've seen a lot of growth in recent years. We deployed our first robots in the material handling space around 2015, and really the market has evolved and grown very rapidly in that time frame. And what we've seen is a number of companies really between 2015 and 2018 were doing kind of assessments based on the maturity of technology in the industry as a whole, how they would onboard it into their networks, process changes required around taking some tools like this. Since then, we've had a lot of validation with certainly some of our larger customers, very large players within the retail and 3PL distribution industries. And what we're now seeing is companies are starting to grow. Companies have seen the benefits that they can get from this technology, where it really helps them right now. And they are now very actively scaling with these solutions through their networks. So we're seeing that across the board. We're also, you know, a number of other players in the market who are offering autonomy solutions. I think have worked through kind of a similar growth phase in recent years. So there's certainly a very interesting time for this industry as a whole. There's a huge potential and huge growth opportunities for us all right now.
Yeah, so earlier you were saying that there was 17% improvement in business. So I wanted to explore some of the what they call key performance indicators in some business sectors. Could you elaborate on that? What improvements, in what areas do the improvements come? I mean, how do you measure it? Is it number of items moved, or number of pallets moved, or the time it takes to do things? How do you measure improvement in a warehouse before and after robotics?
A number of our customers take slightly different approaches, but inherently it comes down to the volume of items, packages, pallets, depending on the denomination within the particular facility, the volume of those things moved in the building in a given time frame. So in some of our retail sites, they're looking at pallet moves per hour. In some other sites, it's packages moved per hour, and then they would have associated, labor costs or operation costs with that. So that tends to be the underlying portion of this. Interestingly enough, we find with our customers very quickly we move past the idea of robotics or automation being being exciting just on the basis of it actually being a robot. All of our customers have very challenging operations, and their main focus is, I need to move things through my building. I don't necessarily care that it's a robot. I care that the job gets done. So within that, they have very specific KPIs. There's very clear requirements for us to hit, and that makes the growth with those customers also a lot easier to manage and predict, because if we're all focused on that same bottom line approach of meeting the operational needs, then everything becomes a lot cleaner, quicker, and easier.
And you've got a fairly interesting section about the careers at the company. Nice little animation of the pictures, and I guess some of the staff as well. What's that aspect of it like? I mean, do you find it easy or difficult to find people? Because I know the logistics sector in general, there seems to be an issue about hiring and retaining people. Probably the same in the manufacturing sector as well. But obviously, you're not either one of those things. To specifically your robotics. So obviously, you make your own robots. So in some sense, you're a manufacturing company. But you're more probably could be described as a technology company. Certainly a robotics company. What's it like hiring or trying to find people, recruiting, if you're a robotics company like yourself?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of growth in the industry as a whole, so there is certainly competition for talent. We have a long history. Vecna are one of the most established players in the market. Vecna Technologies, founded in 1998. Vecna Robotics spun out of Vecna Technologies in mid-2018. So we do have a long history, and we're one of the larger players. So that certainly helps us in terms of attracting talent. Retention, we have very good staff retention. A number of our team have been here for 5 and 10 years plus, so that gives a real strong team focus within the company, which I think makes it a very very attractive place to work. It's also an interesting. I mean, it's a cutting edge industry, so people are very interested in getting involved in this because we are seeing what is effectively the next industrial revolution, and so people are very interested in being involved in that as they see the potential for the market and industry as a whole.
I've seen some very, I don't know how to describe them, very confident outlook sort of reports, predictions about how many robots, warehouse robots, are going to be sold over the next few years in the, overall in the market, because warehouses are becoming more and more automated. So I'll ask you what your own forecast, what your feelings are about the overall market as a whole globally, especially with regard to, this kind of robotic technology, moving things in the warehouse with this kind of robot, rather than, what percentage of warehouses do you think are not automated with robots? A lot of them probably have conveyors. But in terms of robotics, this kind of robot, I imagine very few of them, if you think about all the warehouses, probably my guess it would be like maybe 5%, 10% have robots, if that. I don't know what your feeling is or what your guess is at the moment. There's probably not a lot of research about how many warehouses actually right now have robots. But certainly the market will grow. How do you, what do you predict? How do you forecast it from your point of view in terms of how much it will grow?
Yeah, for the market as a whole, I think it's still pretty early stage in the sense that, yes, I think it's a very low percentage of overall warehouses that have invested in automation. The pain points associated with not having automation are becoming more and more obvious to most players in the market. So there is, on that basis, there is massive growth potential. But what we also see is with the supply chain, I mean, even looking at news in recent months due to the pressures put on the supply chain due to the pandemic, it is showing the importance of having a robust and resilient infrastructure within supply chain networks as a whole. And then we're also seeing a number of customers are now of companies are clearly starting to identify their supply chain not as a cost, but actually as a competitive advantage. So this is an area where there is massive amounts of investment being made to just improve the overall efficiency within supply chains. So there is huge growth opportunity for companies like ourselves and a host of other groups within the same market, because it's reached the precipice of the technology is certainly mature enough. It is tried and tested. There's a number of success stories. And then the pain points that that our customers are seeing have become more and more pronounced in recent years in terms of finding staff, retaining staff, doing it in a cost-effective manner, the pressure that we as consumers provide. We're all looking for a higher range of diverse products that get delivered to our door, and that we don't, and to do so in the quickest and most efficient way possible. So this combination of pressure points onto the supply chain is dramatically increasing the need for solutions like ours.
Just on the point of the pandemic, you were saying about how there are challenges associated with that. I wonder if you could elaborate. You did hint at it by saying hiring and retaining staff. I know one or two people who work in warehouses, and they were off sick, I suppose. And obviously it was a very worrying time for people who work in any sort of industry where they have to go in physically, well, and unable to work from home. What's it been like, what are the stories or things that you've heard about in the logistics sector that, from your contacts, what have been the their experiences of the pandemic, and when is the lockdown or anything being lifted or eased somewhat?
I mean, well, obviously it's been an extremely challenging time um, for anyone working in this space. And again, the supply chain has been shown to be part of the critical infrastructure. So all of our customers have continued to operate through this time, but it certainly has caused some challenges for them. And so the interest in automation has certainly spiked. We've had a lot of inbound inquiries. We've had a lot of new potential customers contact us, and then our existing customers who are looking to expand. And really what they're seeing is a need to have as robust and resilient a supply chain as possible. And then to also be able to remove some of the more mundane and simpler tasks from people so they can direct their manual staff to do those tasks that automation is not capable of doing. And that's really where, that's where Vecna's perspective is on all of this, of combining the benefits of automation with the benefits that people bring. So all of our systems, as I said earlier, are designed to work in those mixed environments to allow both of those tools to be used as well and efficiently as possible. Excuse me. And that has become more apparent in recent weeks and months as the pressure that's been put on supply chain as a whole, and that some of the challenges and concerns that staff have had of working through some of the challenging conditions around the pandemic.
Okay, and these are the stories that we've sort of picked up on over the past few months. Partnership with Unicarriers, and Vecna Robotics raises $50 million to expand. There's a lot of money in this sector, and there's a lot of potential. So, what do you think in terms of the Vecna's future, and how do you see it unfolding? What kind of technologies are you going to develop? What kind of markets are you going to go for? I mean, how do you see the future unfolding for Vecna Robotics?
There's massive opportunity. So as you mentioned there earlier, two fairly recent events would be the partnership with Unicarriers, who are part of Mitsubishi Heavy Industries, and Unicarriers are taking over a large proportion of our manufacturing of our base units, and then the raise of our Series B raise in January of this year, where we raised $50 million. All of these are directed towards the growth that we're seeing. Being able to leverage what Unicarriers have in terms of manufacturing and support helps us reach a wider customer base. The investment allows us to grow the team and expand those type of partnerships again, so we can meet the growth that we are seeing, that we're seeing already, and certainly that we predict to continue into the future. A number of our customers are very large organizations, Fortune 50 groups, and their expectations of us is to be able to deploy with them at scale, to move quickly with them, and to support them at scale. So the partnerships like that with Unicarriers and the growth of our own team is all designed to be able to meet that growth. From ongoing technology development, we spent a very long time before ever launching anything to market to make the most robust and the most flexible technology possible. So as I was outlining, by being able to incorporate the same core system onto multiple vehicle types. Gives us a very strong platform that we can rapidly expand with different form factors, different capabilities, to cement the offering that we have for our customers. So we work very actively hand in hand with our strategic customers to help hone in some of our roadmap requirements and new features and capabilities on the current units, and new functionality or tasks that people are looking to automate within their networks. And so that gives us that gives them a degree of confidence in terms of being able to have a degree of security or future proofing around the investment that they're making within their automation efforts. And gives us a good base that we can rapidly expand with those customers too.
Okay, David, thank you very much for your time and the insights. I just got one more quick question. This Vecna Robotics raises $50 million story. I can't see where it says the total. That was Series B funding. Yes. I don't know if you've had a Series C, but how much has Vecna raised in total?
We've raised 63.5 million in total. We had a Series A in mid-2018 as we spun out, and then Series B in January of 2020, we raised $50 million.
All right, and that's great. Thank you very much for answering that. I don't know why I didn't add it somewhere. I don't know, maybe it wasn't available at the time. The figure wasn't available. Is there anything that I didn't ask that you'd like to add to the interview?
Yeah, I suppose actually one topic I cover in great detail. Some changes we've made, particularly with the current, challenges caused by the pandemic. We've launched our remote deployment capabilities, so we are able to deploy units at customer sites without us actually going to those customer sites. And that has certainly helped a lot of our customers who are looking at adoption or growth, but obviously have some constraints on travel or allowing other people into their sites at the moment. So we can work with those customers remotely to map, to configure the site, essentially put the rules of the world in place. And then test prior to actually test the units on the ground before actually going live, and then get them up and running into our customer operations very quickly. So some of those newer developments that we've made are allowing us to continue to deploy and continue to grow with those customers who are certainly seeing the challenges of the current circumstances, but have some more logistical constraints around letting people come into their sites, and that I think has been a very big benefit for us recently.
Okay, thank you very much, David, for your time and your insights.
Send us an email at sales@roboticsandautomationnews.com to register for one of our many upcoming webinars. And if you'd like us to host your webinar, we have a range of options, including long-term lead generation packages and marketing campaigns. We look forward to hearing from you soon.